you're back and so am I. I'm Kirsten. We're going through the tarot and I'm telling you ways that the major arcana has manifested in my life, and hopefully you can see it manifest in yours. And today we're on the best card, one of the best cards in the entire deck, the High Priestess. So let's talk about what her energy is like. First of all, it's very possible that it's the High Priestess energy that even led you to this YouTube. It's that inner knowing, that inner communication, that let me just click on this type of mentality. This energy is deep within all of us. And my favorite way to explain it is, how did you know that? How did you know that? How did you know that I was just, oh my God, I was just talking about you and now you just show up. Oh my gosh. Or I was just thinking about you and I got a text message. How did you know that? Or you're at the grocery store and your mom told you to get milk and you're like, oh, I'm gonna grab a bag of peanut M&Ms on the way out. And you're like, why did I buy these? I don't eat these. And you get home and it winds up that your neighbor's over like asking for a bag of peanut M&Ms. It's just this gentle inner knowing tug, nudge, hair on the back of your neck. It's basically forms of communication that are not verbal. It's basically what makes people mysterious. It's very, very sexy because psychic is very sexy. Mysterious is very sexy. It's enchanting, most definitely. It's like, you don't need to talk. I already got your story. I got your number. I don't need an explanation. It's a communication of everything except for words, and it is within all of us. This, when you call on the High Priestess or want to work with this energy, a couple of things. First of all, you want to be very, very grounded. What does that mean? Pick up some tourmaline, connect with the earth, go sit in the grass, be flat-footed. And this is a really important thing throughout spirituality, because if you actually start to work with the High Priestess energy, it can go south. Okay, so it can be developed like psychosis, because you could start to possibly hear things that you think everybody else is hearing. So, and I'll give you an example of this is, okay, also the High Priestess, like, if you want to talk to a member or a family or anybody who is passed, she lives in the underworld and dead people are her deal. You have a grandparent that is deceased that you just like to have a conversation with, she can take you. She can open that up, okay? And I can tell you how to do that. However, be grounded. If you are not grounded and you begin this spiritual journey, you could go crazy. It's either you're psychic or you're psychotic, okay? Because you have to be able to balance yourself in both extremes of a black and white world and a spiritual world, okay? More to that can come later if you want more information on that. So anyways, make sure that you're really grounded as you start to develop your High Priestess energy. How has this manifested in my life? So maybe you can see it in yours is, I was smelling smoke everywhere for several months, and I don't smoke, and I had a new car, and I'd get in it and it would smell like smoke. And then my boyfriend, he would like drive my car and he'd be like, I swear every once in a while I smell smoke. I'm like, I know, but it's not in the car because it passes. It doesn't linger. It's not like, oh, you can tell somebody was smoking in there. No, it's like, it just like somebody just exhaled in the car. Okay. And so anyways, I was like, it's been happening for months. And he's like, are you, and he's like super analytical mind, and he's like, are you sure there's just no way? And I'm like, there's no way. I'm the only person, I bought this car, it had like 38 miles on it, I mean, there's just no way. Okay. So, several months later, we're getting married, and I have I have servitors, which are energetic beings that are always working with me. Okay, they're created. I have one that's created to be my personal assistant, basically, that just help me get shit done, and also so that I don't lose shit or forget shit. Like if I go to the store to buy milk, I come home with milk. Now I may come home with more things, but I at least come home with the milk. Okay, so that is the job of this servitor, is to point out the things that I miss. Okay, especially with deals. I mean, I created this really to go shopping, and I want to find the deals. I want to find the deals. Okay, so anyways, so the morning that I was getting married, well, in the middle of the night, I don't know, let's just guess it was 3 a.m. Okay, and my husband found me sitting on the couch, or my soon-to-be husband found me sitting on the couch, and he says, I was kind of talking to myself, making weird noises, and I was like, and I was like, oh, you know, I was like startled, and I jumped up and I went to bed. I laid down. I saw the flash of my servitor, and I instantly knew something's up. Go back to the living room. So I did, because I've learned to respond quickly. And so I jump up. I'm not scared or anything like that. I didn't even really know what I was doing. I mean, I would thought I was sleepwalking, talking, something like that. So I go and I'm like sitting there, and then all of a sudden I start seeing my grandparents. And my grandmother, she always did crossword puzzles. She had like a crossword puzzle with her. My grandfather, he always had a towel on his shoulder. And that's how I saw them. And they were like looking at me, and they looked great. They looked like really great and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, whoa, I'm losing my mind, you know? And so anyway, so the next morning, or just a couple hours later, I told my husband to be, now he actually, we just got married like on a Friday night at 6 o'clock after work. We just wanted to get married. That's the way we wanted to do it. We didn't want to make a big to-do. This was a really private thing between us, and a really spiritual and important thing, but we wanted it on the down low, and we didn't want anybody there. So anyways, I said, so I start telling him as he's getting ready to go to work, is I said, oh my God, I think my grandparents were here last night. And he was like, and I was like, yeah. And I explained it to him. And so I was telling him, and I was just like sobbing, just crying, just uncontrollably, couldn't stop crying. That was the emotion letting me know this was real. Okay. So he goes to work, he sends me a text message, and he's like, did they talk to you? Because this is so shocking. This is not an experience that I'd had before. I was like, yeah. And they told me, my grandmother told me very, very specific things. And one of those specific things, she told me, I think 4 specific things. She told me I was right about my dog. She told me she was glad I was getting married. This was a good thing. She was glad that my dad was going to be there, and she still hates my mother. Okay? 4 things. And I told my texting my husband, soon-to-be husband at the moment, I said, those things, I said, but I heard it in the middle of my head. Like I knew it. So that's a form of communication with people that have passed, that you can kind of meditate and channel on the High Priestess for that inner knowing, that inner dialogue, that inner communication. And this is one of the ways that she manifests in our life. Let's go back to that grounding situation, because if you are not balanced, the way that the High Priestess can manifest is addiction. It can manifest addiction because it can bring in such high energy that you need to come down. Okay. If you're unbalanced, okay, these we're talking about now, I don't want to say the negative side, but they're not the positive side. So this would be if like the High Priestess was in reverse in a tarot spread, or in your life, okay, like if you're out of balance and you have addictions, or you're delusional, or like you are way too open to the spiritual world and you're developing psychosis because the volume is up way too loud, the light is too bright, you have way too many gifts, you need to get yourself grounded. You need to calm your inner voice so that birds, so that you don't go crazy, you know, so you don't go nuts. I believe that there's a lot of spiritual people, super, super gifted and talented spiritual people that are, you know, in the funny farm because they didn't know how to gently take in these energies, such as the High Priestess. So in review, she is your inner knowing. If you want to, she's her jam where she lives is in the underworld. If you want to talk to your dead grandmother, you can use her. You can meditate through her. You can meditate with her awareness, with her openness. Remember, she does not communicate out here. It's all inner. It's inner. Well, it's think of it, communication without words in just pretty much any form. But the inner knowing is the real deal. So it's like I smelled smoke, which was a physical manifestation, but internally, I knew exactly who that was for months. There was no question. It was not that somebody rode in my car. I knew that my grandmother was coming for me. And it was subtle. It wasn't scary to me. It could be to some. That's how I can wind up grounding when we, you know, don't want to wind up in the funny farm. But I knew this. I knew this. I knew this. I knew this. I knew that there was no other explanation of why I would start smelling smoke. And it didn't start until I started dating my husband, my now husband. And I think that was her confirmation that, like, yes, okay, this is the right thing to do. You know, even looking back to it, I can put more and more pieces of the puzzle together. So that's the High Priestess, and she's a really cool, calm, collective, classy, mysterious, sexy, all-knowing, psychic as get out, past, present, and future, speaking, dreaming, energy, and she talks to the dead, she jams with the dead. She is welcome in the underworld. She is safe in the underworld. She's, in some mythology, she's like the only goddess who could go into the underworld completely unscathed and uncloaked. And so in some mythology, you can use her energy also as a guide into the underworld. She is, you can strengthen her energy, first of all, just by being aware of it. And every time that you're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you, somebody called, give yourself a pat on the back and be like, I love that about myself. Like, encourage these energies and the all-knowing, and welcome it to expand. Okay. And when these things started in with me, it was a very, very slow, very gradual, very slow process, because I didn't want to be scared, and I don't like jump scares or whatever they're called. Like, I can't do that. and I get too scared. And so anyways, you know, the way that, like, my spirit team and guides and all that, the way that they have revealed themselves to me is in a very gentle yet shocking way, okay, because I don't have angels, but I definitely have guides, without a doubt. My grandmother is a guide, by the way. I did learn that. Oh. So I did get married, okay, and every time I've told, well, I didn't really tell anybody that story about my grandmother, but every time, like, I would talk about it with, like, my husband, like, I could tear up now, like, I would just be so emotional because it was just so real for me. And I was like, my grandparents passed so long ago, and I was so close to them. Anyways, so months later, and this is another thing that you can do, you know, if you're new to this spiritual gig, is you can be like, I need some confirmation that I understand in my language. Okay, so I went and had Reiki done for the first time, and that was I had no idea what to expect. I didn't even sign up for Reiki. I signed up to lie underneath one of those chakra lamps where they have each individual crystal, and the crystal it's like in tune with the Giza pyramids or something like that. I don't know. I just knew that I was out of balance and I needed to be rebalanced, and I knew that I was so horribly out of balance. I needed somebody to like direct me, like line my shit up. Okay, what I didn't know was that the person that was doing the lining my chakras up was also going to do Reiki and activate me. And I didn't know what that meant, but I was like, maybe activate the chakras. I don't know. Okay, no, that's not what that meant. What that meant was she's going to do Reiki and she's going to activate my spiritual senses. Okay, now mind you, this is after the situation in my living room the morning I was getting married. This was 4 months later, okay? So as she's doing Reiki, so Reiki is this silent type of thing, it's this touching, it's this divine healing, it's really amazing. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. But anyways, she was like, yeah, you can like meditate or go to sleep or whatever you want. She's like, I got this. I was like, okay. Until she was like moving her way at my chakras, and she got to my heart chakra and she goes, oh, did you know that I'm a medium? And I was like, no. And I'm like medium? Like you talk to the dead? Or you can see my spirit guides, or or what? And she goes, your father's mother is here. And I was like, because it was that specific. And she said, yeah, she's here, and she really doesn't like your mom. I said, she hates my mom. And she says, she hates her. That's exactly what she said. And I said, yeah, that's her. And so, I mean, I got that confirmation. And aside from everything, I don't know if you've ever been to a medium, or if you are a medium, or if you're a medium in the make, I don't know. If you've never experienced a true medium, it is life-changing, completely life-changing. I mean, first of all, it was confirmation that I was not completely crazy. It was just absolutely a life-changing experience, but it confirmed my inner knowing. And there you go. And that's a perfect example where that could have either led me to enlightenment or to the funny farm. And I chose the enlightenment route because I'm grounded. So how has the High Priestess manifested in your life? Like your inner knowing, your gut instinct or intuition. And you can also strengthen these things. So if you want to know how to do that, let me know. If not, then I'll come back and we'll talk about the Empress, because that is the mother energy. And let me tell you something, she lives within all of us, and sometimes we're a better mother than the one that we came into the world with. There's your preview.